Plymouth Seavoy Max Wedge Superstock. The 1962 Seavoy Superstock looked almost too plain to be dangerous, and that was part of its charm. At a glance, it was just a simple two-door sedan from a year when Plymouth's new downsized styling was awkward enough to scare off many family car buyers. But under that humble skin was one of the most serious factory drag machines America had seen up to that point. Chrysler had decided that if drag racing sold cars, then it needed a weapon built with that mission in mind. So engineers created the Maximum Performance 413, known in Plymouth form as the Superstock 413. In 1962, that engine came only for 1 year in 413 form before the package grew into the 426 Max Wedge later on, which makes the first-year Seavoy especially important in muscle car history. The big V8 used a special cross-ram intake, 2 4-barrel carburetors, a hotter cam, stronger internal parts, and high compression, and it was offered in versions rated at 410 horsepower or 420 horsepower, depending on setup and fuel. Plymouth dropped this engine into its lighter B-body cars fast, without waiting around, and that quick move helped the Seavoy become one of the earliest true factory-built drag warriors of the 1960s. It was street legal, but everyone knew what it was really for. Buyers could get a heavy-duty 3-speed manual or Chrysler's tough 727 TorqueFlite automatic, and the automatic turned out to be a huge advantage because it shifted fast, stayed strong, and helped keep the engine pulling hard down the strip. A sure-grip rear axle with 3.91 gears came standard, and even wilder ratios were available through dealers for racers who wanted every edge they could get. Hot Rod magazine recorded a 12.37-second quarter mile at 114.79 miles per hour in a 1962 413 Plymouth, a shocking number in an era when many so-called performance cars were nowhere near that quick. That kind of speed helped Mopar hammer the competition and gave the Seavoy a reputation as a giant killer, especially against the much better-known Chevy 409 crowd. Only 298 Max Wedge Plymouths of all body styles were built for 1962, which makes any real Seavoy Max Wedge a rare and special machine. Ford Galaxy 500 Lightweight. It was born during the wild early 1960s factory drag war, when Detroit was throwing bigger engines and sharper tricks at the quarter mile every season. By 1963, the big companies had already pushed engine size close to the 7-liter limit used in major racing, so the next smart move was simple: make the cars lighter. Ford answered with a special mid-year Galaxy package built for stock eliminator battle. Under the hood sat the fearsome R-Code 427 V8 with dual 4-barrel carburetors, rated at 425 horsepower, and it was backed by a tough 4-speed manual. Ford stripped weight anywhere it could. The hood, front fenders, and trunk lid were made of fiberglass. The bumpers were aluminum. The frame was a lighter version normally used on 6-cylinder cars, and many comfort items were removed. No radio, no heater, no armrests. Very little sound insulation. The result was a giant family car that had gone on a savage diet, dropping to around 3,420 pounds, about 420 pounds lighter than a comparable production model. NHRA rules required enough cars to be made for legal competition, and the best estimate today is that 212 of these special Galaxies were produced, nearly all in Corinthian white with red interiors. That made them rare from the start, and also easy to spot if you knew what to look for. Contemporary magazine testing showed just how serious it was. One early example, still a little heavier because it lacked some later fiberglass pieces, ran the quarter mile in 12.29 seconds at 117 miles per hour. An even lighter sister car cut that to 12.07 seconds at 118 miles per hour. Those were huge numbers in 1963, especially for something this large, and they proved that Ford had turned a full-size car into a real factory drag weapon. The Galaxy Lightweight helped pave the way for the even more famous Thunderbolt, which was smaller and lighter, but the big Galaxy was Ford's first heavy hitter in this stage of the Superstock war. Dodge 330 Lightweight. At first glance, it looked almost too plain to matter. It was a simple 2-door sedan, stripped of flashy trim and dressed like a budget family car. But that plain body was exactly the trick. Chrysler knew the fastest way to beat bigger names at the drag strip was not to make the car prettier, but to make it lighter, stronger, and more brutal. So in the spring of 1964, Dodge released a tiny batch of special 330 lightweights for serious racers. Most sources put production at about 55 cars, which makes it one of the rarest true factory drag machines of the era. Under the hood sat the new 426 Race Hemi, rated at 425 horsepower, with two 4-barrel carburetors on a cross-ram intake. That engine was a major step forward from the already fearsome Max Wedge motors, and it helped turn the humble 330 into one of the hardest-hitting superstock cars of its day. The body was put on a strict diet with lightweight aluminum front sheet metal, including the hood and fenders, and many comfort items were either removed or kept to a minimum. Buyers could choose a 4-speed manual or the push-button TorqueFlite automatic, and that automatic became famous for being strong, quick, and deadly consistent at the strip. The 330 lightweight quickly became a weapon in the hands of skilled racers like Dick Landy and the Ramchargers team, and it helped Chrysler make a huge splash in the 1964 Superstock Wars. These cars were fast enough to run well into the 11-second range in period race trim, a stunning number for a steel-bodied American sedan in 1964, and they did it while wearing the skin of a no-nonsense economy car. Mercury Comet AFX, lightweight. Mercury built it during the wild early 1960s factory drag war, when Detroit brands were trying to win races on Sunday and sell cars on Monday. And instead of throwing this little Comet straight into the same fight as Ford's Thunderbolt, Lincoln Mercury aimed it at NHRA's new A-Factory experimental class, where the rules gave builders more freedom to create something lighter, meaner, and far less civilized. To make that happen, Mercury teamed up with Dearborn Steel Tubing and created a tiny run of just 22 special Comets, each powered by Ford's 427 High-Riser V8, rated at 425 horsepower and backed by a Hurst-shifted 4-speed manual. Weight loss was a huge part of the plan. Fiberglass replaced the front bumper, hood, fenders, and doors. The regular glass was swapped for lighter material. The interior was stripped down, and lightweight Bostrom bucket seats were installed, turning a neat little Mercury into a bare-knuckle factory drag car. The Comet had started life on a compact platform that was never meant to carry a giant FE Series big block, so Dearborn Steel Tubing had to cut and rework the shock towers and firewall just to squeeze that 427 into place. The result was wonderfully unbalanced in the best possible way. A small car with huge power, a short temper, and just enough factory polish to make it legal for its class. Car Life recorded a curb weight of 3,085 pounds, a stout 480 torque, 0 to 60 in 4.2 seconds, and a standing quarter mile in 12 seconds at 121 miles per hour. On the track, the little Mercury backed up the numbers. Dyno Don Nicholson won far more races than he lost in 1964 in the Comet program, and Ronnie Sox beat Nicholson at the NHRA Winter Nationals in Pomona, with Sox running 11.49 seconds at 123 miles per hour to win stock eliminator. That gave the Comet real credibility, not just as a clever factory special, but as a giant killer that could take down serious rivals in front of everyone. Plymouth Belvadier 1 Superstock Lightweight. The Belvadier 1 Superstock was one of those cars that seemed to exist for one brutal reason: to win drag races and scare everybody else. It wore the body of a plain Belvadier 1 two-door sedan, but Chrysler quietly turned it into one of the fiercest factory drag cars of the 1960s. To meet NHRA rules for superstock racing, the company had to build enough real cars for the public. So Plymouth produced just over 100 of these special Hemi Belvadiers, with most sources placing the number at 101 or 102. Under the hood sat the race-ready 426 Hemi, officially rated at 425 horsepower, breathing through a big intake and backed by either a 4-speed manual or a tough automatic. Chrysler then attacked weight like it was the enemy. The bodies used thin-gauge steel in places, lightweight Corning glass, aluminum parts, van-style bucket seats, manual brakes, and almost no comfort equipment. No radio, no luxury, no nonsense. The result was a car weighing about 3,170 pounds, so light for its class that racers sometimes had to add ballast just to meet class minimums. In the 1965 season, these Superstock Plymouths were running as quick as 11.18 seconds in the quarter mile at 126 miles per hour, which was outrageous for a factory-based American car in that era. One of the most famous examples, the Hurst Tornado 4, is widely remembered as the first factory specification car to break the 10-second quarter-mile barrier, which helped give the Belvadier one a near mythical place in drag racing history.